The website security and network provider Cloudflare says it will no longer provide support to the website 8chan. That's where the suspected gunman in Saturday's attack posted a 4-page manifesto just minutes before opening fire in a Walmart. More than 20 people were killed. Now President Trump is condemning the role of the internet in mass shootings. CBS News' Bofta Yimam has more from Washington.
The internet has provided a dangerous avenue to radicalize, disturb minds, and perform demented acts.
President Trump partially blamed the internet after more than 30 people were killed in 2 mass shootings over the weekend in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. The alleged El Paso shooter was linked to a 4-page manifesto on the online message board 8chan. Web security company Cloudflare pulled its services from 8chan, causing the site to go dark. 8chan moved on to alternative companies but continues to suffer outages.
There will still be forums for folks who want to spread their hate and spread their malicious rhetoric.
Other mass shooters this year, including the Christchurch, New Zealand gunman who killed 51 people, were also linked to 8chan. Psychologist Allison Howard says would-be active shooters feed off of online support.
They're just posting to their audience. Getting rid of the messaging boards, making sure that there's no forum for this is the way to go.
Some argue taking down the sites is a tough call, since it also could deprive law enforcement of tools to monitor criminals.
It's a double-edged sword. We certainly want to know where they are, what they're doing, who's on them. But allowing them to remain active, of course, gives them an opportunity to proliferate.
The FBI said in a statement, U.S.-based domestic violent extremists could become inspired by these and previous high-profile attacks to engage in similar acts of violence. The FBI asked the American public to report to law enforcement any suspicious activity that is observed either in person or online. Bofta Yimam, CBS News, Washington.
And joining us from Las Vegas to discuss this is Dan Patterson. He is a senior producer for CNET. Dan, thanks for being with us. Can you give us a brief overview, first of all, of what 8chan is and how it started?
Yeah, Elaine, 8chan is a message board with an aesthetic that is distinctly of an older version of the internet. So this is not as fast as the current social web, but is based on anonymity. So users would post messages, they could upload photos, and retain some modicum of anonymity. The site was founded in 2013 by a gentleman named Frederick Brennan, and it was developed, he said, while he was allegedly on a magic mushroom trip, to be a free speech alternative to another site called 4chan. 4chan was fairly notorious for very similar types of behavior and users, but they started to roll out some restrictions. 8chan was the more extreme alternative. However, Brennan sold it to a gentleman named Jim Watkins in the Philippines. Both of them are in the Philippines. And he has been running it with his son, Ron, ever since.
Well, on Sunday, 8chan was taken offline after its partner Cloudflare said they would no longer provide network services to the site's, quote, lawless design. Earlier this year, gunmen connected with the New Zealand mosque shootings and the California synagogue shooting had posted to the site. Why was it just recently taken down?
Well, these have been conversations that happen, sadly, almost every single time we see an incident of gun violence that can be linked back to the site. The site owners now seem to get kind of a kick out of keeping the site alive and keeping the somewhat trollish nature alive. Now, web service providers have stopped providing web hosting services and domain services. So they have resorted to using what's called DDoS. This is distributed denial of service protection sites and services. One of the most prominent is called Cloudflare. Now, Cloudflare provides protection to all kinds of sites and services, so we really shouldn't associate them with 8chan. But they said for a very long time that we have free speech considerations. I asked one of their leaders in Kiev, Ukraine, 2 years ago how they balanced free speech with the types of violent threats that occur on the site. And they said free speech is really important to us, but it's also important that we work with law enforcement who have ongoing investigations. And we saw Matthew Prince, the leader of Cloudflare, post something very similar when they decided to take the site down. Now, it's pretty reasonable for these DDoS mitigation services to have to weigh the moral ambiguity of, do we keep sites like this up and potentially set a dangerous precedent, or do we take them down and send the trolls somewhere else?
Yeah, well, so now 8chan is being managed by another hosting firm, Epic Inc. The forum is not currently online, but how likely is it, Dan, that 8chan will be up and running again? How long do you think it will take?
These sites are a game of whack-a-mole. So even if 8chan never comes back, and it's quite likely that they never come back, but they could also take the data and put it on a different service. But look, simply taking these sites down does not get rid of the behavior. However, what it does do is eliminate the mechanism that is used to amplify this type of behavior. So when I talk to people in the FBI, they say these are almost like honeypots. We know where to look. Now, it's hard to know precisely where to look, but we also see this really uncomfortable trend of some of this behavior, as well as the users, migrate to more mainstream social media sites. Right now, we see a lot of the same type of users and behavior on the app Discord, which is a gaming chat app. And Discord is a very legitimate service. However, it is becoming a home to some of these very the same types of actors. And
Dan, in our final minute here, how aware is law enforcement of these forums, and what are they doing about this kind of activity online?
Elaine, law enforcement is incredibly aware of these sites and services, and they routinely spend quite a bit of time investigating these sites. However, it is not as simple as simply identifying a user and then potentially pressing charges. They have to connect behavior to an IP address, and many of these users use what's called a VPN, also a very legitimate service that I'm using here at Black Hat to protect my services. So it's a real difficult challenge for the feds to investigate anonymous sites with anonymous users and anonymous IP addresses.
Yeah, it does very much sound like a game of whack-a-mole. All right, Dan Patterson for us. Dan, thank you very much.
Good to see you.